Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Urban Mobility Office. The process is the project. We're going to be using Slido today. There's some information right here. And I just want to introduce, we've got three speakers today. We have Brendan Finn, Director of ODOT's Urban Mobility Office. Have Lucinda Broussard, Tolling Program Director. And today, stepping in for Della Mosier, we have Megan Channell. She's our Rose Quarter Project Director. All right, please take it away, guys. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Good morning, everyone. Just making sure I'm not on double mute. I've double muted twice today, so my Zoom etiquette. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. Again, I'm Brendan Finn, Director of the Urban Mobility Office. Lucinda Broussard and Megan Channell joining me here. I'll first start off with our tagline, and we'll get more into this, exactly what this means in the process is the project, which I cannot take credit for. We actually have to give some credit to Tova Peltz and Della Mosier for pressing that one. We'll continue to use it because of the importance it has in the work that we do in delivering mega projects and in the toll program and the work that we're engaged in right now. So I'm not going to, its definition will become more clear as we go through the presentation, but we definitely want to dive into questions. So as you're seeing this presentation, please start thinking of those, and we really want to hear what's on your mind and get the feedback from you and answer your questions. So with that, if you could please go to the next slide. Well, this is our setup as far as our org chart here with the Urban Mobility Office. Still very much a work in progress. Deputy Director Mosier's working very hard on putting all the pieces together. I remember on my first day, which was March 1st, which was in a very interesting time for all of us to that beginning of the month of March, to start a new position and standing up a new office. But I remember one of the days that we actually did go in the office, Della started presenting this to me and kind of the Tetris game that we were playing as far as figuring out where the office was going to be, how we would fit in, and the pieces that needed to be in place for us to deliver on this huge set of projects that I'll get into here shortly. So Della and I work incredibly closely together. Our backgrounds very much complement each other. We've been having a lot of fun, been really busy over the past 6 months, and we're very blessed to have such great leadership leading the projects. Megan is, you'll hear, as folks know, is leading the Rose Quarter Improvement Project. Manny Putney has recently become our I-205 project director. We're very excited to have her on board. And then you'll be hearing from Lucinda, who is taking on a very ambitious project for us as far as being the toll program director. And so we're starting to put more of the pieces into place. We had our first full staff meeting a few weeks back, which was great to get to know some of the folks, although it was virtual world. We're getting to know each other, and we're very excited. We have a very talented group. Next slide, please. So here's the projects that the Urban Mobility Office oversees. You're going to see a map here in a moment about how we integrate in with Region 1 and other partner agencies. We are one ODOT. We work, we're tied at the hip with our friends at Region 1 in coordinating all of these efforts. And you'll hear a little bit more about how important that is in the direction that we got from the Transportation Commission. But here's some of the timelines for these projects. Megan's going to talk a little bit about Rose Quarter, one of the pieces. I do usually start off with this slide when we present to the Oregon Transportation Commission, just because it's a simple snapshot of where we are and where we're going. subject to change, as I will talk about here on the next slide. We don't have to go to it just yet, but as you can see with Rose Quarter, one of the things that we're doing as far as how we implement the process into the project, the CMGC approach to project delivery gives us a lot of flexibility around the design and construction phases being integrated into that period of time that you see. That's a little over a year, that will be year and a half, excuse me, working with the community and our stakeholders on how we get the best design for the community, but also to deliver on the project. So that's going to be an exciting time. I won't steal Megan's thunder on some of that because she'll be talking about that. We're engaged with the Interstate Bridge Replacement Project. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on, and we'll do a little just snapshot of the other two projects, or the other projects, although Lucinda will do a deeper dive on the toll program. Next slide, please. So having the pieces fit together, how do we take a look at the system as a whole? How do we make sure that the system is integrated as a whole? This is the basis for the Comprehensive Congestion Management Plan. This is in direct response from direction from the Oregon Transportation Commission. We did present this 2 weeks ago, excuse me. Go back to that last slide. Thank you. I don't want to, I can't take Lucinda's slide, which was, we got a blessing and a direction to move forward on this plan. I'll do a little unpacking of it, even though it's pretty complex as far as how we're taking each one of these pieces, showing how they all fit together, taking away from this kind of isolated view on projects. That's one thing the Urban Mobility Office is trying to bring to this plan, is to show how these are integrated, show how we need each one of them to really manage congestion within the Portland region. We're not going to move around bottlenecks. That is a piece of criticism that we've received from the public and others, that we are just moving around bottlenecks. No, this is a system-wide approach. Key to it is the toll program. I'll let Lucinda talk about that. But as you can see on this map, it integrates projects that are being delivered by Region 1, projects that are being delivered by the Urban Mobility Office, projects that are being put forward by some of our other regional partners. So it's, as you can also see, that it's multimodal. And for those that were able to tune into the breakout session we had a little bit earlier, talking about the bus on shoulder opportunities, our bike ped investments that we're making on some of our projects like Rose Quarter, which is a significant one. Managing congestion means getting cars off the road. It means encouraging transit. It means having more active transportation opportunities. And it also means managing it through the toll program. So with that, I think we're going to be reporting back to the OTC. The other piece of direction that we did get was that we should, the net revenues that are going to be created on the corridors should stay on those corridors, the two corridors being I-5 and 205, as well as coming back with a kind of finance plan and a implementation plan for everything that you see on this map. A good question that we got in our last breakout session was around the Metro Regional Investment Bond. We're going to see what happens on November 3rd. We're obviously poised to help with that. I know Administrator Winsheimer's been spending a lot of time on how this works into Region 1's plans. But we're going to, again, I use the phrase cross that bridge when we come to it, as far as seeing how those projects that are in that bond measure are going to move forward with the results that happen then. So with that, I'm going to wait for your questions, and I'll be back a little bit later in the presentation. But right now, I have the pleasure of turning it over to Toll Program Director Lucinda Broussard. Next slide, please.
Hey, thank you, Brendan. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. Again, my name is Lucinda Broussard. I'm the Toll Program Director. I made my slides very slender. I figured that Brendan would give you a lot of information regarding the congestion management plan map that he showed you, and then that Megan in Interstate would talk about some of the projects that go on with that. And really, I consider myself in the background, kind of like the backbone to make all this work is tolls. And what I wanted to just bring to your attention is how we're going to implement tolls here. And I did this slide. I just have 2 slides, I believe, really simple ones. Modern tolling. You know, we get asked a lot, are we going to have toll booths, or are there some, place to place your money? Everything is all electronic. And electronic, I kind of put a bunch of things on this slide, but as you can see, there's the road and you can see a gantry over it. On that gantry would be readers and cameras and laser, anything we can pick up from the vehicle. And then the little blue Oregon Toll program, because we don't have a name yet, but we will be branded here one day, is what's going to go in the vehicle, inside the vehicle on the windshield to capture that information. What this does for us, if we can do all electronic tolling, is it does help with diversion, congestion management, and of course revenue generation, which is one of the reasons to kind of do tolling this way. Next slide, please. And it's kind of like, oh, it just seems like you just throw up some gantries and the world is beautiful. There's a lot that goes into tolling. And this is just kind of the outside. I kind of wanted to bring the outside environment in. Inside, we still have, system integrators to get on board. We'll be bringing on a general toll consultant to help us map this whole thing out and to try to pull it up all at the same time. But not only that, we have we work with our partner agencies. We have a regional modeling group, which is kind of an interesting group because we've done some things that have been outside the box. In July, we actually opened up the data that we had used for all of the alternatives that we have out there, which are 5 for I-205. And we let our partners have that data and go work with that data and then call us in if you have any questions. So actually we've been very open with the data and how we're doing everything. So that way it's new to Oregon, tolling is, and how we build that is new. So it's kind of imperative that we get everybody kind of where we're opening the hood of the car, nothing in a black box, and making sure that we're very open. We also have a transit multimodal working group, which encompasses a lot of our regional partners, and we're talking about transit mostly out in Clackamas County, who always tells me they have no transit. But this group actually is helping us with, is there more transit needed? Where is it needed? Where is it now? How does it work now? And then what could happen next? It also looks at bike ped paths also. And then our Equity Mobility Advisory Committee, one of its kind, first of its kind in the United States. And I can tell you that, wow, we know some great things are going to come out of that, but this is the ideal of not just having EJ, but having equity when you start a program. So that's what they bring, and they come from many different perspectives of equity, so not just one. So you have a committee who can go out and talk to their constituents, come back and work with us about how we, number one, engage with communities we normally do not reach, and also what are the mitigations that we can do in the beginning. So not at the end when people are screaming about this is bad, but as we go through, what can we put in? So that way at the end, we don't have the screams. So that's my 2 slides. Is it Megan now? Megan, are you going next? So Megan Channell, thank you.
Thanks, Lucinda. And I'm, again, going to do my best to channel, and no pun intended there with my last name, but channel Della Mosier today with a quick update on the I-205 improvement project and then into Rose Quarter. So next slide, please. You can actually go to the next slide. So I'm going to jump to the map here. So one of the projects that you saw on the Comprehensive Congestion Management Plan map is the I-205 Improvements Project. And this project, it addresses congestion and traveler safety issues on the 7-mile stretch I-205 in the Southern Portland Metro region, really between Stafford Road and OR 213. So this project is focused on relieving congestion by adding a third lane in each direction and installing real-time signs. It'll also upgrade the Abernathy Bridge and the 8 other I-205 bridges in the project area to help bring up the seismic resiliency of our system. So the work on the real-time signs is happening now, installation. And so the signs are going to be part of a region-wide system to help improve our overall road safety, help drivers make better informed decisions about their travel routes. The real-time signs were strategically done up front to be in service for future construction. So the project is currently in full. The project is at the 60% design mark and going through review and concurrence of the project design now. And moving forward, or looking forward to continued work with partners on this important project. Next slide is the Rose Quarter improvement project. So as many of you probably know, the I-5 Rose Quarter Improvement Project, also one of the other major projects that's part of our comprehensive congestion plan, as Brendan mentioned earlier, located in the central portion of the city of Portland, focused on I-5 between I-84 and I-405, adding auxiliary lanes and shoulders to improve traffic operations and safety. But equally important to those highway improvements are the multimodal local street improvements and new community connections that the project provides, including rebuilding overpasses that cross over I-5 as new highway covers, so providing new public and community space, a new pedestrian and bicycle bridge crossing over I-5, as well as improvements to the bicycle, pedestrian, and transit network in the area. So next slide. As we are moving forward with the project, we're excited to announce that we're continuing to build out our team and bringing on a new partner. Our new partner is CMGC. What does that stand for? That is Construction Management General Contractor. And so this is our contracting team that we're strategically bringing on early in design. We're at the 15% design mark, and I'll get there in just a minute. But we have issued a notice of intent to award to the Hamilton-Sunt joint venture to join us as the CMGC, work with ODOT, work with our owner's representative team, collaborate with our A&E design team to help us design the best project for the community and meeting our needs. This is a significant opportunity as we're taking action in the economic opportunities around the project as well. The CMGC team will be standing up the DBE and workforce program for the project and helping us implement that. We have one of the highest DBE, disadvantaged business enterprise, goal ranges that we've seen for projects in the state at 18 to 22% utilization. So that'll be a significant opportunity to not only provide the jobs for the construction, but those jobs then have a long-term effect, living wages, building the capacity and pipeline of our local small minority contractors in the area. And so again, this is a critical action to advancing our DBE and workforce program. Next slide is on schedule. You can see here that, again, we're at the 15% design mark, approaching about a 20% design mark just next month. But if I leave you with nothing else here, it's that we are early in design. We're still in what I call assumption land, and it's not until the 30% design mark that we're going to start really establishing the design concepts and starting to shift into making some decisions. And our schedule is being refined really as we speak. So 30% is actually tracking for fall of 21 of this year to make sure that we're incorporating some good feedback from an independent assessment that's being done on our highway covers, as well as the good work that we're doing with the community and particular advisory boards. So next slide. I mentioned our working with the community. One of the key elements of our project, and again, Brendan's statement here on the process is the project. We have quite an extensive governance structure for Rose Quarter being led by our executive steering committee. as well as with support from 2 community committees, a community oversight advisory committee, again, focused on the DBE and workforce program, and a soon to be stood up historic Albina advisory board that'll be elevating the voices of the African American community and those with ties to the project area and helping us move forward with the project design. So in that work, the Executive Steering Committee has defined project values for our work moving forward, and this will guide all that we do, both in design, process, community engagement, and partnerships that we're building, focused on restorative justice. ODOT has the power to convene partnerships around acknowledging and understanding the historical context of our project area, understanding that I-5 did displace and disconnect the African American from the Albina community in the project area. So as we move forward, how do we make sure that we aren't exacerbating those harms and fostering partnerships that can leverage the transportation infrastructure into community rebuilding in a way that meets the needs of the historically harmed community. Also, the value of community input and transparent decision making, making sure that we have that strong two-way dialogue and feedback loops with our community and a level of accountability as we move forward. Focusing on mobility, again, really the impetus behind the project of improving safety and operations at a multimodal level in our work, but also about those important community connections. And then last but not least, the value of climate action and improved public health. Again, Brendan touched on those points a bit in regards to the congestion management plan, but how we move forward with Rose Quarter in that systematic approach as well to make sure that we're achieving climate goals and improving health in the area. So with that, Brendan, I believe I'm turning it over to you again.
Great, thanks, Megan. Next slide, please. So speaking of big projects, we're going to have a serious process around the next iteration. We are not going to use the former acronym. The Interstate Bridge Replacement Program, actually, we'll change that slide there, is taken off. It was started by kind of the 2 governors getting together, making that commitment. This is a memorandum of understanding both of them signed back there in November 18th of 2019. Since that time, a lot of work has been taking place in kind of setting forward the kind of infrastructure that's needed within the 2 agencies to stand up that joint office and get this project going off on the right foot, engaging our legislatures and others. No one, I don't need to say to anyone that's here on this call, in this Zoom with us today, the importance of replacing the interstate bridge. It's still, dug fir pilings and is very a safety risk. It's also just an amazing opportunity to increase mobility around the region for both the Vancouver region and the Portland region. But it's a lifeline for the 2 states. It's a major freight corridor, as we all know. So again, I won't go into the stump speech on how important it is that this program continues. Next slide, please. So with that, leadership is going to be quite important to this. I just got off a call with Greg Johnson and the 2 DOTs staffs, who is now our Interstate Bridge Replacement Program Administrator. Greg, we are blessed to have him. For those who have gotten to meet Greg, he comes with a wealth of experience, not only with DOTs. He was Deputy Director at the Michigan DOT, worked on another very big bridge project that wasn't even just by state, it was by country, the Gordie Howe Bridge, which goes over from Detroit, Michigan to Windsor, Canada. So he's been through it. He's also worked at the Maryland DOT as well. And then he also had some time in the private sector as a consultant. We are, again, very lucky to have Greg in this leadership role. He will be reporting to both Secretary Millar and Director Strickler directly. We've been playing a bit of a liaison role on some of the process pieces as the Urban Mobility Office, working closely with Greg as our system approach and toll program. And of course, there's definitely a big connection to Rose Quarter as part of the system with the replacement of that. So Greg is off and running. We're very lucky to have him, and hope folks get a chance to meet him. We're going to have him in front of the Transportation Commission at our next briefing coming up here later this month. So we're in good hands. So it starts with good leadership, and Greg is an awesome leader. Next slide. So here's some of our milestone goals that are happening right now. We've begun, I think, I'll just go straight to what we've been doing this summer, which has been kind of re-engaging stakeholders, in particular our regional partners that are at the table that are directly related to the, as far as the NEPA process is concerned, that will be involved with us, as well as transit agencies, the ports, the cities, and the MPOs. We've all been sitting around the table kind of discussing how we're going to jump off with this, and what kind of governance structures do we need, what can we reevaluate from what was the work that's done in the past. That's been a big kind of drumbeat that we've heard from our legislative leadership, is, you know, use whatever work you can towards this next iteration of the project. So we're coming up on a deadline here to have a conceptual finance report. Assistant Director Brower has been with us every step of the way, working on this. He's has a wealth of experience in dealing with previous iteration of the project. So that's our next milestone. We're also going to be very much involved in the process around the executive steering group that's going to be set up. Is mostly made up of our partner agencies in the regions, as well as a community advisory group, which should be having up soon. We do have our general engineering consultant on board. That's WSP. They came on, about a month ago. We've been having lots of meetings. They're providing us with the assistance and expertise that they bring to help move things forward. So that's been a big, I think, big step forward, is to have them on board and have them assisting us as we go forward. Next slide, please. So with that, that's a lot to unpack. We do want to turn it over and back to the moderator and get some of the questions. But before we do that, I think I want to just give a shout out and a thank you to the folks that are working behind the scenes on the Fall Forum. I know Jessica and Sally are here with us, as well as others that are just doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So I just want to put it on the record that we appreciate all the work that everyone on the Fall Forum team has put forward, because we know it's a lot of work. So just wanted to express gratitude from the Urban Mobility Office for your work. And with that, why don't we turn it over to see if what questions and comments we have. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sri, so much, and thank you, Brendan, for the kudos. But we couldn't present anything if you guys didn't give us something to present. So we thank you guys too. All right, yeah, we've got some questions. Let's start. Let me see here. How do you reconcile ODOT's equity goal with the Rose Quarter project, where many Portland politicians and stakeholders are trying to cancel the project due to equity?
Brendan, would you like me to take that one, or do you want to step in?
Why don't you, let's both do it. So why don't you do it? Why don't you go first? Since you and I have both answered this question quite a bit.
Absolutely. No, it's a really good question, and it's a hard one to unpack here in such a short period of time. But you know, as we move forward with the project, we're really focused on the values that have been defined by our steering committee, with restorative justice being at the center point and kind of the core foundational value. And we understand that it's going to be through our actions, not through our words, that we take steps towards equitable approach and outcome for the project. So one of those steps that we're taking specifically is in regards to the Historic Albina Advisory Board that we have stood up. We are creating a new membership, have sunsetted our Community Advisory Committee and new membership for the Historic Albina Advisory Board to make sure that we're intentionally elevating voices that have ties to Historic Albina, with the goal and the value of restorative justice for the project to provide benefit to the Albina community. We can't do that without hearing from the Albina community and specifically the African American community in what those outcomes could look like, what benefits the community sees to best achieve that. So that's one of the steps and actions that we're taking. Another key action that we're taking, and for those of you that were at the 10 o'clock presentation as well, is making sure that we are hiring community leaders as part of our project team in prominent strategic advising and facilitating roles and leading our community groups, including our executive steering committee, our Historic Albina Advisory Board, and our community oversight advisory committee to shift our work from being more transactional, the typical transactional government approach, to being more community related and relationship oriented. And again, elevating members of communities of color within our own project team. So those are two actions that we're taking, and I think it's going to be through those actions as we continue to work toward the value of restorative justice that's going to showcase our work towards equity.
And the only thing that I'll add to that is just, and again, I'm going to harken back as I did on the last thing to Assistant Director Perkins. The power of conversations, the power of relationships is something that we may not have taken advantage of in the past, and really listening and hearing people and as humans. And I think that we're out there and we're being as transparent as absolutely possible and trying to be as authentic as possible and proceeding in a way with the highest levels of integrity that we know that we can do, and we're gonna show up. We're gonna keep showing up, and hopefully our deeds and our actions will be measured on those. And those that are estranged to the project now will come back and want to be a part of it. So I'm confident that that's going to happen, and forever optimistic that it will. So that's a great question, and Megan and I have been, and as well as the team, working really hard on that. But it's about listening, and it's about responding, and we intend to do just that.
Awesome, thank you guys. How do you get transponders in the tourist vehicles for one-time visits? Sorry, did it freeze up? I'm not hearing anybody.
I think Brendan might have frozen, but anyway, I think you've heard our response there. I want to make sure there's other questions as well. But again, we have a lot more work to do, no doubt. We have a lot more relationship building to do. And so we look forward to those conversations moving forward.
Perfect, thank you. How will our tolling pass integrate WashDOT's Good to Go pass? Will I need two passes or will they work together?
I think we're having an audio problem.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. So which question is it? How do we get transponders into our visitors' hands? Is that the one, or which one?
That would be great. I think we skipped that one. So
Okay.
yeah, please
Not
do.
not a problem. So if you're a visitor, we're not expecting you to have a transponder when you come to town. If you're using Good to Go or you're coming from California, we'll be interoperable. So you don't need an Oregon pass when you're coming through. And if you're a visitor not coming from one of those places and you're coming from maybe Texas or somewhere like that where we don't have that interoperability, won't have it set up in the beginning, will in the end, we'll take a picture of your license plate and send you an invoice in the mail. Want me to take the next one too?
Please
Yes. Okay. How do we justify charging drivers to enter and exit Oregon by tolling both interstate bridges in both directions? I think tolling, when you think of tolling, you shouldn't think of it as we're charging you to be here. We're actually having you help us pay for those roads. Every time we use the road, we actually are taking something away from it. So tolling is not just taking your money, it's actually helping with maintenance, helping with rebuilding. All of those things have to happen, and tolling is kind of a funding to do that. So when you think of it's being tolled, yes, and you're paying for not just using the road, you're paying for the use of the road. And I think the next one is Megan's.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead, Megan. Thank you.
I can take the next one. And for those that maybe don't see on the screen, the question is, do we have enough DBE contractors to hit an 18 to 22% goal? That's what I mentioned for Rose Quarter. And I sure hope so. No, but in all seriousness, this is exactly why we chose the CMGC delivery model for Rose Quarter to help us leverage that larger goal as well. And so we're starting early with the contractor joining us at the 15% design mark. And so a lot of our work and partnership together moving forward is going to be about that capacity building and pipeline building through mentor protege opportunities and other partnership work to get the DBE community ready for the work that is to come down the line. And so an exciting and sort of new way of approaching this work here and for a mega project in Oregon. So looking forward to having those conversations and partnering with the contractor to help us build up that capacity to meet the robust goals that we have.
Awesome, thank you. Does the Urban Mobility Office primarily utilize consultants, or will the UMO rely on region and HQ support for projects?
I can take some of that, Brendan.
Oh, great. Okay.
I can take some of that only because I have a new program. So I would say that, no, we need everything. So yes, we do need consultants who've had experience doing these, like putting up a toll program. We don't have that experience in state, but we do have experience here with engineering, program management, and many other things that we can use. So it's not a all consultant agency. We are trying to build that. And so we can build that experience here, and then we'll have it here and use it from here. But we're bringing in consultants for that, for those infrastructures we don't have. Okay, Brendan, I'm giving it back. Sorry.
Well, I would just add on how we're, addressing the comprehensive congestion management strategy and plan is the integration between UMO and the region 1 in particular is absolutely vital. So lots of kind of connection points, obnoxious levels of communication, as we often refer to, because we're on the same team and we're integrating the same system. We are utilizing the consultant sector for the large projects. As we need that assistance, but we're as I said, joined at the hip with Region 1 on these projects and coordinating them, because that entire system has to work together. So we'll utilize consultants, but we'll do so in a way that makes sure that it's got that integration in with the region.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, we have a comment. My understanding is that the criticism of CRC was not the bridge itself, but the magnitude of widening and triggers of induced demand. How will this be different?
Yeah, well, I think the induced demand is something we also get with the Rose Quarter project, and that was a big piece of consternation amongst some communities, where was the widening piece and the auxiliary lanes and the off ramps and light rail, I think, and others. There were a lot of controversial pieces to that project. We're obviously going to modernize and put in safety pieces for the system so it works correctly, so we have uniformed infrastructure throughout the region. We really need to do that. We don't have that right now. The bridge is a perfect example of that, as is Rose Quarter. If demand is induced, it will be managed. That's one of the great things about the toll program. So we're getting away from, we're going to have a system that's uniform, that does have, that has the safety measures within it, so we can provide that system. And of course, what Lucinda said, I mean, if we toll, you're going to get an improved system. Obviously, it's paying for the system as it exists today as well, but it's also to improve the system as well and provide reliability and other pieces. So we'll see where the data takes us on the next iteration of the bridge replacement. I know Administrator Johnson is going to be keen on making sure we have the best data and science available to be able to make the determination on how many lanes or what high capacity transit is going to be the best option. So thanks for that question.
Great, thank you. It's early, but are you considering how the tolling and the Origo mileage fee programs and apps might work together and support each other?
Yes, we are. So we are talking about, actually, I'm talking a lot with Maureen about the Origo program. And literally the Origo program is using some technology that the toll industry does not use. And with it not being proven out, it's not like we can go straight to what Origo is doing, but what we can do is just be interoperable with transactions when we come up. And then when Origo, once it gets started, it's technology. So we'll build in so we can meet that technology when we come to that intersection, we can meet it. If it's all being done vehicle to vehicle, then we can do that. But you'll probably still need cameras or some other way for enforcement, and we'll be able to do that too.
Great, thank you. Are you anticipating that the office will get more ODOT staff positions? If so, what types of roles will any of these opportunities be outside of Portland?
That's a bit of a remains to be seen. We did get a question similar to this in our last breakout session. We're going to see as right now we have pretty much. I did go over a little bit of that. Our org chart. We're going to try to fill that up. We're also, still a bit in the defrost mode on some of our positions, as this is the rest of the agency. So right now we're going to work within what we have. Now, as far as other parts outside of the Portland metro region, I think we're going to continue to work with OTC and our partners in operations to see if there's issues where we can be helpful in other parts of the state. That is something we definitely see as a possibility, and if so, we'll be dispatched accordingly.
Great, thank you. How will the IBR program include mass transit? Have you ever biked or walked across the current bridge? How will bicycle and pedestrian facilities be improved?
Yes, I like this question. And I had to give the presentation to the Bi-State Legislative Committee last week on the process we're going to be taking on evaluating high capacity transit for the bridge. And yes, I have biked across the bridge. It's about this wide. And it's scary, and it's certainly the replacement of the project is going to be such a great opportunity to provide a better bike ped connection between North and Northeast Portland and Vancouver, which is really seeing a boom in their downtown there as far as their change in land uses and greater density there. So one of the things that we're looking at is how it's changed. So bus rapid transit was now, which was kind of a tinkle in C-Trans eyes back when the CRC was happening, is now in operational and is going through their downtown core where light rail is going to go before. So that's another consideration that we're going to be thinking about. And what are we seeing with transit ridership? What are we seeing with federal opportunities for transit funding? Those are all the things that are going to go into consideration as we evaluate based on the purpose and need and the vision and values that are yet to be established for the program, excuse me. And those will kind of drive those decisions. But I think I can say with a good deal of confidence that it will be a much improved bike and ped connection. As again, to answer the question, I have biked across it.
Thank you, guys. Looks like we're out of time, so we can follow up with the rest of the Slido questions. We'll be doing a follow-up, and we can have you guys answer those offline. Any closing thoughts before we close out?
No, I just thanks again for the team, and appreciate the support we've gotten from around the agency. We obviously are one ODOT, and we are just thankful for the partnerships and the support we've gotten from the agency. So thank you all very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.